of 1 and 17 years old were injured. Our affiliate down in Miami, WSV, reporting that all of the children who were injured in all of this are still hospitalized. 3 of the adults have reportedly been released from the hospital.
The Texas House of Representatives voted to impeach Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton over the weekend. The articles of impeachment include bribery and abuse of public trust. At a post-session presentation in Austin this morning, Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick lays out his expectations for the trial.
I don't know what the House will present. I don't know what the Attorney General will present, but my guess is there will be witnesses, and they will be put under oath, and they will be cross-examined, I'm sure, by both sides, and it will be a regular trial. And at the end of that trial, once the facts have laid out, the senators will vote.
Paxton called the investigation that led to his impeachment corrupt and has denied any wrongdoing. Some believe it's a political move by Rhino Republicans and the Democrats to get him out of office. The Senate trial is set to begin no later than August 28th. Fox News reports the Vatican released guidance for Catholic engagement on social media yesterday and called on church leaders to be more reflective in their social media posts. The Vatican said the communication is particularly worrying when it comes from church leadership like bishops, pastors, and prominent lay leaders. A Reuters report suggested that the Vatican was referring to so-called far-right commentators and conservative Catholic bishops. And that is a wrap on news this hour. We appreciate your listening. Remember, you can go to afn.net to see more. For American Family News, I'm Robert Thornton.
Friendships is offering an exciting opportunity for young adults who want to grow in their walk with God, become physically fit, and learn relief ministry while serving in the Middle East. This is an amazing opportunity to serve God and experience Israel. Check out Seahawks one-year scholarship program at friendships.org or call 337-433-5022. That's 337-433-5022. The next session begins August 19th.
You know, as Christians, we have to understand and be real with where we are.
That's what we have to see first, individually.
And where our mindset is and what we desire.
Airing the Addisons.
I think what God is really calling us back to, it's those individual personal revivals in our own lives where we're like, oh Lord, what have we done? We have minimized you.
Promoting truth, wisdom, and empowerment.
As the church, man, we should be on the forefront of making disciples, of indoctrination and godly things.
If we don't train our kids, they will not be able to stand.
Airing the Addisons.
On American Family Radio, thank you so much for listening. I'm Miki.
And I'm Will.
And Sweet Victory and J-Mac are on tap to help us navigate the show. Boy, it's great to be back live and kind of like in the places, I guess, where we normally are. But this is it's a short-lived thing, right? It's a short-lived thing because just in a day, we're going to be in the Woodlands at the Texas Homeschool Convention's homeschooling convention. I'm super excited. Like, I've been having a really great time just encouraging families and reminding families of why we do what we do.
Amen.
And that we're in this together, that there's a reason for fortifying our kids.
Yes.
There's a purpose that will outlive us, you know, and that's what we're going for. And so anyway, we're really excited to be able to do that. But today we are in our normal locations. And then on Thursday and Friday, we will be broadcasting live and direct from the Texas Homeschool Convention in the Woodlands area. And then the following week, we will be in Richmond, Virginia at HEAV.
Where it all started.
That was HEAV. Ann Miller, God love her and bless her. And I mean, I just... You know, so we've been homeschooling for a long time. This is just background here. Okay, we've been homeschooling for a long time. And we've just kind of been doing that quietly. And it's not unusual for us to be a part of conferences in different parts of the country, for churches to host events, that's not uncommon. But Ann Miller in Virginia at HEAV reached out to us in 2021. Or was it 2022? I don't know. It's hard to remember when things started to open up for everybody. You know, some states opened up sooner than others.
That was virtual, right?
It was virtual. So
it was
in the midst
which
of,
was the first time I'd ever done anything like that
yeah,
as well.
yeah.
There were several TV screens.
It was
Audience.
amazing, though.
It was really amazing. I have to say, it was very neat because you could actually interact with people and you could actually give away things in real
Yes.
time. So it was a conference where
crazy.
everyone joined remotely, but it wasn't Zoom like.
No,
I mean,
it
it was
was
just amazing, right?
Yeah, yeah. You see all these
But-
people from all over the place, and you see their pictures. I mean, not
Yes.
pictures, but their video.
They're
It's
there.
Yeah, they are in real time listening to you.
amazing.
And interacting. It was pretty cool.
So maybe it was 2021, maybe 2022. I don't know.
Maybe so. I think 21 maybe. I
Okay.
don't know.
It seems like it was 2021. But anyway, so God bless Anne, who said, "Hey, would you guys come and present?" And you know, the first response is sort of like, "Well, we don't really do homeschooling conferences. We've never done that, you know." And she's like, "I'm aware." And so,
Right.
which a ton of people had done their research on us, and then still wanted us to come. Which is great because we are either a blessing or a liability to people, right? Like if you start Googling the Addisons and you read what we've written or you listen to what we've talked about, it's either going to be people are excited that we're coming to where you are, or you're going to have to take out extra insurance
Oh.
and you know have
Well, they
people sign
invited us
waivers.
back, so it
And
must
so
have
we're
been-
going back. Man, you
Yes.
have a great way of getting me back on track. We're the great. This is a part of your greatness, right? But we're going to be back in a couple weeks. And so anyway, so it's been wonderful. It's so encouraging to meet members of the body of Christ, the family that we are a part of, the family that matters
Yes.
forever, and to see that, man, we're in the trenches and we're all observing what is happening in the culture
Yeah.
and trying to respond faithfully. And so it's a
Amen.
blessing to us to get feedback in real time. That's the benefit of being a part of a conference when you're there
Yeah.
and you're talking to people.
It's amazing. It's encouraging.
is.
You know,
Yeah.
just to be able to be a blessing to so many families. You know, and you know, when we do radio, we're not able to see,
You can't see.
you know, the people that are listening and things like that. But when you go to these conferences and you're able to interact like that, you see in real time, you know, like, man, this person has been touched by something that you said
That's
or
right.
experience that you had, that you shared.
That's right.
You know, and I just want to put this out there. We take our whole family, you know,
Yeah,
on these
we sure do.
trips. So we drive, and so we spend a lot of time in the vehicle, and it's 8 of us, and so there's a lot of fun
Are you sure?
happening.
Sure it's not 9. No, I'm just kidding. It's 8.
It's 8 of us right now, and so the thing is, it's a lot of bonding, you know. But I just have a good feeling that years down the line, they will remember these trips and say, "Oh, you remember we went here and here and here," and so you know, it'd be some great conversations to have,
Yes.
you know, as they are adults one day, Lord willing.
Let's hold on to that.
Yes.
That's what in that we can find hope and encouragement
Right.
as we go. And we'll just,
gotta
we'll
look
just
at the
look
bright
forward
side.
to that. Yeah, that is true.
because you can get on each other's nerves as well.
No.
Yes, you can.
Listen, I don't know what happens in other families, but when we take long car rides, I just want to say that there is a special perfection anointing that
Oh,
happens.
wow.
The baby sleeps for like hours.
Right
and
now, I'm
hours
glad I'm
and
not sitting
hours.
right next to you. The
Can you
lightning
imagine?
bolt.
The
coming.
lightning bolt. So it's like take everything that I'm saying and then just imagine the opposite. So the baby sleeps for hours and hours and
Yeah,
hours.
right.
There is an actual point where you can appease the baby, where you give him something and he actually that's what he wanted, and so
Yeah.
then he just says thank you and then goes back to like a nap. And then all of the big ones don't mind touching each other. They don't mind it. You know, listen.
They never
let's just
complain about the leg room or anything
Never
like
complain
that.
about leg
you know,
room.
It's just perfect.
always have
Yeah.
what they need. They're never bored.
Never
you understand?
bored,
Never
you know.
bored.
Yeah.
Just imagine the opposite of that. But you know, it's always so interesting to me that the kids, our little ones, look forward to the trips. And I think there was a special, it's almost sort of like a birthing grace. You know how you say you deliver a baby and then you don't, I'm sorry, you don't remember the pain. And so then it causes you to feel like you could do it again, right? Which has been the story for everybody. I don't know that for a
For
fact,
every
but let's just
woman.
go with it.
Gotta say that
For every,
today.
oh my goodness, why? I refuse. I refuse to say, and here's why: because only women can give birth. I refuse.
Biological.
You cannot have my mind. I refuse. You are so provocative. You're doing that. It's not what I want to. Well, it is kind of what I want to talk about today. Today's topic, by the way, if you're just joining us, it hasn't been mentioned, but I will mention it now. It's still boycotting Target. That's today's topic. We're going to talk about that.
Nothing has changed.
There's a lot of
with
people
them.
that, man, it's amazing to me.
They have dug in. Even
How many people have
further.
shown up? And it's like I was joking with our family in Lansing when I was talking about how, well, I can't share it because I'm going to share it again in Texas and then in Virginia. And I want it to be as fresh for you as it was for them. So anyway, just table that joke. But
Got another one?
yeah, maybe on the fly. Maybe I'll just stick with the facts,
Knock,
ma'am.
knock. No, I'm just playing.
Who's there? Hey, listen, it's amazing to me. Back to my birthing story, how these kids forget about traveling. They look forward to it. They, they're getting ready. There's that fun of like, okay, loading up the car, and it's like they set out, and it's every mom who's ever given birth. You always think maybe this one is going to be different. Maybe it's going to be just that story that you get to share that makes every other mom mad at you because you're going to be like, oh, I just walked in the hospital, and then, or some of you at home, whatever, respect to all of y'all, okay, and then boom, a baby, and then you went home, right? Like that's what everybody wants. But our kids, I feel like they forget the trauma that is their traveling. And then when they get in the vehicle, it's as if this is the first time that they're going on a road trip. It's like, no, you knew what the leg room was from the last trip. Like you keep acting up and you're going to have to sit on that hump in the middle. Like
There's no more humps.
just, we don't have any humps anymore. Listen, but wouldn't it be great if you did? If you could have a car that still preserved the hump.
Look.
Why? Because you could punish kids by making them ride in the middle, which, by the way, even without the hump, riding in the middle is a punishment because you don't have a window to double as a
And
bed.
you right in between two people. You can't
That don't
move,
want you to
can't go
touch them.
anywhere.
Both of the people don't want you to touch
And the
them.
moral of this story is we're waiting on that person that's hearing from God that will want to sow a van into the Addisons.
Stop it. Have you been listening to Creflo Dollar? Are you listening to Creflo Dollar? You stop that.
Sow a Sprinter van into
the Lord did not.
Hey,
First
the
of
Lord,
all,
the Lord may be saying like,
Can I
I
say?
wonder how
can
they
I say,
do that. Well,
can
let
I
me
make
tell
a-
you.
Can I make a joke? When we were doing our date nights,
Mm-hmm.
we were in Arkansas, and there was a family. I want to say they have 9 kids. They may be listening because they were avid listeners.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have 9 kids, if I'm not mistaken. And they came up to us after the date night, and we were just talking afterwards, And they said, you guys need to invest in a Sprinter van. Now, I just will say this. I've never seen myself as a Sprinter van mom. It's just,
Well.
I just have not, there are just ways that you can see yourself. Okay. When I was growing up, we did have a station wagon. You guys remember station wagons?
Yes.
Okay. So anyway, that could have been a possibility, but I just never saw myself as like sort of a bus mom. I just didn't.
It's a van. It's not
And
a bus. Come on.
Tomato.
And they're nice on the inside too. They
Okay.
got all kind of.
You hold on to that. So this family, we're talking afterwards, and the mom and the dad were absolutely hilarious, which I love getting together with the family of God, right? Absolutely hilarious. So the dad said, Sprinter vans are great. And he said, all you've got to do, he said, you put your hazards on, you can park anywhere.
UPS.
Because
Oh, whatever.
people
what is
think
it?
you're
Amazon.
making a delivery.
That's funny.
I don't know, though. I feel like it would very soon be revealed that we're not making a delivery when all of us file out.
Right,
It's
right.
like it doesn't take that many people to drop off earrings.
Look,
What are you guys doing?
I will say.
Anyways, all right,
I will
so-
say this though, just to
Yeah.
the last thing about the traveling. So we take a camera with us, and so there's some behind the scenes like stuff that we post on YouTube. So just recently we posted it's called the Waiter Made Me Eat It. Mm-hmm. And so when we go to different places, we have this challenge called the Waiter Made Me Eat It. And so the waiter is to choose the meal that the person who lost, we have this wheel that we spin. The person that name is chosen, they have to eat whatever the waiter brings out.
Whatever.
And,
Man, yeah.
and it's been good so far. People have been pretty happy
Gracious.
with their
They've been
selections.
gracious. So let me see. You've got one kid who is not happy about the fact that the waiters or the waitresses care about you guys. You've got one kid who says, I don't understand why they think they should make you happy.
See,
She is
that
in it
kid is
for
gonna get
trauma.
the,
She
the,
wants,
the nasty food on her turn. 'Cause
She wants someone to be like, oh, really? Then fine. You're going to get the boiled tofu
octopus stew
on a bit of octopus legs or tentacles. I don't know. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go
I
ahead.
was saying, though, if you ever want to check that out, it's called, the channel is called Whatever You Do. And so,
And why wouldn't you want to check that out? I mean, I don't know.
Check it out. You can see some of the behind the scenes footage, of our trips. Whatever You Do _8. And you can find that on YouTube. I have a cool video on there that I'm pretty proud about. It's me having packed up the vehicle.
Oh, man. God bless you.
It's like Tetris.
You do amazing work.
Man,
with
I feel
that
like I'm getting
vehicle.
my bearings on with that
Wow.
to put the stuff where it belongs. So
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It is
Anyway.
absolutely amazing. And I got to tell you, sometimes to me, it looks like it's not going to work. It just looks like it's not
oh,
going to happen.
ye of little faith.
Well, I mean, I believe. It just helped my unbelief because it's a lot. You know what I mean? It just, because we've got the broadcasting equipment, and then you've got the luggage, and then you've got the everybody's everything that they feel like they need. And then how many, nobody listening cares about this, right? But how many blankets do you need on a road trip?
Oh, my goodness.
I just
and
feel
how many
like-
small bags can you take? We are the small bag family.
That's a sickness.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I know
It's
that's
true.
not what the show is about today.
No,
but
we're talking about still boycotting Target, and
Yes.
and I wanted to have this conversation from a place that wasn't critical of the people who are currently boycotting Target, because we were talking about this the other day, how we can find whatever we search for to distinguish us as better than or not the other, right? Like we can find, just leave it to us as Christians, humans, right? We can find a way to make ourselves a little bit more distinct, even among the distinguished, right? We're like, okay, but I do this. And so I didn't want it to be like, been boycotting Target as a measure of time.
Yes.
But at the same
Sound
time, but at the same time, I just kind of am like, wait a minute, guys, Target's been at this for a long time. And they've been putting children in danger and at risk for a long time. And so I want to
Yes.
talk about that. At the same time, I want to say welcome to the boycott for everyone who's just joining us. We'll grab the break. Aaron the Addisons, American Family Radio. Stay right there.
This week we're commemorating true heroes, the kind we need today. From the time I was young, Daniel, the politician and prophet, was my hero. Kidnapped, orphaned, sexually abused, and relocated to a foreign, idolatrous nation, Daniel stood the test of character by purposing in his heart to trust God, even as a boy. Hello, I'm Sam Rohr with the American Pastors Network and another Stand in the Gap Minute. True heroes are great because they trust in God. For Daniel, God gave him great wisdom and understanding. Exalted to vice president of Babylon, he served powerful kings. His colleagues tried to destroy him, but found him blameless. Though his godly life made him a target, and even in his old age ended him in a lion's den, Daniel served God faithfully and trusted God implicitly. He was unwavering in his trust, a true hero. Now how about you? Would you join us at Stand in the Gap Radio and TV? Walk by faith and trust in God? Visit us at AmericanPastorsNetwork.net.
Hi, I'm Miki.
And I'm Will.
And we'd like you to join us for an all-inclusive event we call AFA at the Ark.
First annual?
Who knows? It's certainly the first time anyway. It's a mini conference, and you could potentially stay with us in the same hotel, ride with us on the same bus, eat with us in the same dining room.
Help us keep track of our kids?
That could be very helpful. The event is October 26th and 27th, and we'll tour together, worship together, have panel discussions with our family and Wesley and Walker Wildman's families. We'll even have a special presentation by Ken Ham, CEO of Answers in Genesis.
The Marriott Cincinnati Airport Hotel has blocked a limited number of rooms for us at a discounted rate, with several meals included. You can register, book your room, and learn more at marriagefamilylife.net.
That's marriagefamilylife.net. And we hope to meet you at the first ever AFA at the Ark. I hope to see you there.
Here's Ellis Craft of Reach a Village Ministries.
Reach a Village has been engaging children since the beginning over 10 years ago. We are targeting villages with no believers and no churches. We are seeing people of peace and open hearts in households repenting and believing in Jesus. We see parents and children being baptized together. Transformation is happening in the heartlands of these foreign nations, in unknown towns and villages, in unremarkable places. The gospel is taking root. Join us today. Your gift will be doubled. $100 will help reach 200 children. $500 will help reach 1,000 children. Go to reachavillage.org or call 833-7REACH-7. Again, call Reach a Village at 833-7REACH-7.
Pardon me, I know it's confusing. Little crazy till you promise I know what I'm doing. Everybody speeding, I just sit back while I'm cruising. Cool with being me, even though I may need improvement. Situations pulling me down. Let's go. Had to find my confidence, now I got it now. You know ain't no stopping it. Looking and I found what I thought I never might find. Yeah. Now I got joy lasting longer than a lifetime. And they say this can't be real. There's no
Welcome back to Aaron the Addisons on American Family Radio. It's great to be back with you. I'm Miki.
And I'm Will, and that's Roy Tosh with Don't Mind Me.
I'm going to say this and then move on to talking about Target. One of our friends who works over at HSLDA said that we needed to think about an RV for all the traveling that we do.
Yeah.
And to that, after we prayed about it and gave it much thought and intercession, we said, no, absolutely not. Like, who does that? No, we're not doing that.
Apparently,
we're not doing the moving house. Like, no.
Yeah,
do you understand we're from the city of New Orleans?
I think in our travels, I seen like some RVs on the side of the road was kind of it's like,
I mean, but I've been on the side of the road in the vehicle.
Yeah, but it's true. There was vehicles there too, but I'm just saying it stuck out to me. They were RVs. I was like,
you had a heightened awareness because someone said that you should travel in an RV.
But I heard they're really nice. Really nice.
Here's
it's
the
like
thing,
a
though.
Total package on wheels.
Anytime things like that, when people say things like that, and they have these, I don't know, these ideas. What immediately comes to my mind is that it's going to turn into some sort of National Lampoon something. It's going to be like National Lampoon's homeschooling trips, like National Lampoon's family. Like it's going to, and so everything that entails is what I imagine. I feel like if there's an opportunity for something to not go well with the RV, that's what we're going to get. Like, I feel like we're going to get the janky one, like the one that's like, oh, well, sorry, the toilet blows back on you. Like that, like that's, I feel like that's going to be us. It's, it's going to be like one kid trying to use it while we're traveling and they're like, oh, I didn't realize you had to be parked and like connected to tubes and things. And so I just feel like that's the Addisons. Like and I've already accepted why the Lord does this, because he knows we're going to talk about it and it's going to bless the body of Christ. Because everybody wants to know that, hey, at least it's not as bad as it is for the Addisons. And so we're here for you. We got you, right? So anyway, firm no, prayed and interceded. There was no hold up between us and heaven. We already heard, we got the answer, no on the RV, and that's not happening. When I hear RV, I think it's a special caliber of people who drive them, meaning that it's in their blood. They've been doing that. Like, they know what to do. Like, if this goes wrong, if the thing starts to do the thing, then you know what to do.
But I hear them now. They're like, no, everybody had to start somewhere.
That's right. It's a car. It's called a car. It's called a vehicle. Anyway. All right. So we're talking about boycotting Target.
Yes.
What's really interesting to me is to see the way people have suddenly found outrage. And I don't know that it's directly connected to what we saw happening with Anheuser-Busch, but I do believe that people recognize that, hey, wait a minute, when you make a big ruckus, when you make a stink, there are some significant things that happen. And I think people are feeling emboldened because of the high hand, although I would go back to 2016. And I want to say this not as a, pat ourselves on the back, but just to say, man, Target's been at this for a very long time, right? So AFA launched its boycott of Target back in 2016. Our family's been Target free ever since. We won't even go in there to use the bathroom when we're traveling. In fact, we kind of got routed to one, and then we were like, we're not going to Target.
I'm telling you, these trips are something.
They're amazing. I was like, I can hold it. We're not going in a Target, because we don't want to be a Target, right? Okay, that's the thing.
Bathrooms are not safe.
The bathrooms are not safe.
Go to Buc-ee's. Buc-ee's is a story in itself.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's not where we are. Let's go. Target.
All right. Anyways, so back in 2016, Target publicly announced that it was going to allow people who identify as whatever to enter the bathroom of their choice.
Yeah.
And the reason I say whatever is not to be ugly, but it's just to say that's what they say. It's non-binary. So whatever you feel like you are, and whatever day it is, you can go in that bathroom that you choose. Which, interestingly enough, there's only 2 bathrooms. Why isn't there a spectrum bathroom, right? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
because we know that this stuff is nonsense, but we
And
are
if they
trying
want,
to.
if there was a bathroom like that, they wouldn't want to go in it.
No,
They want
absolutely
to
not.
be in the one that they feel like. So it's like, it's yeah.
Well, when we initially called for a boycott, we said that you could just do individual stalls or individual changing rooms. Like, why don't you do private rooms, like how there are family bathrooms or family fitting rooms,
Right.
things like that, where the doors lock and it's just one person at a time. And Target didn't respond to that, said that it would be too costly to do things like that, to make those kinds of changes. And our response back in 2016 here at the American Family Association was, well, it's also costly if we stop shopping there. And so this was back in 2016. And man, initially when we started the boycott, you had tens of thousands, which then turned into hundreds of thousands. And now you've got 1.5 million people who've signed the Target boycott, which is 7 years old as of last month. But then Target kind of comes out again and says, we're not done harming children. We're not, excuse me, we're not done putting women and children at risk. And they have gone, I mean, just, so first of all, we have to recognize that Target already has a 100 on the Corporate Equality Index. I mean, there's just no way that they couldn't, right? They are so in the pocket of the LGBTQIA plus mafia that there's no way that Target does not have a perfect score on the Human Rights Campaign's Corporate Equality Index. Now, I didn't fact check that to know that that's true. That's just the assumption that I'm making, especially after the story that I'm going to share with you today. New revelation of who is Vice President of Brand Management, and then also who is elected as a GLSEN official. So we'll talk about that. The Gay, Lesbian, and Straight Education Network. This is to me, it seems obvious that this would be the natural outcome when you've got 2 people with their hands in the same pot, that they are doing the same thing. Both one transferring money to the other and the other transferring influence back to the one that's giving the money. I mean, it just makes sense that that's where Target would find itself. But just in case people haven't been following what's going on, which I don't know very many people who haven't because so many people are outraged. So Target got an early start on its June Pride Month and decided to throw up all of this stuff in prominent areas of the store as soon as you walk in. And people went in, and then the social media influencers got a hold to it and started doing videos, which has become sort of the letter to the editor, right? So we used to write a letter to the editor or write a letter to the manager or something or call, and which those things are still important and they still work. But in real time, what people do is they just turn their phones on. And this is what we've seen happen. People just turn their phones on. They start recording themselves with the merchandise. And this is so much bigger and so much better than someone just calling and saying, hey, I don't like what I've seen. Because now the person is saying, I don't like what I'm seeing, but they're also showing the world in real time what they're seeing, right?
Right.
And so you've got people who are looking at all kinds of queer books and cards and bags and undergarments and things like that. That are in the children's section that are specifically targeted at children. So you've got chest binding outfits. You've got what they're calling tuck-friendly swimsuits, which a podcaster recently went in, a man, conservative, to make a point and tried on one of the tuck-friendly swimsuits. I don't know if you've seen this video, and recorded himself going out to talk to the Target employees and saying, hey, this is great. What do you guys think? And you can see that the Target employees are visibly uncomfortable. They're kind of laughing and snickering. Man. And he's like, oh, this is great. Target's thought of everything. And he's wearing a swimsuit. It's like a cold shoulder swimsuit that is marketed for men to wear, which, again, this is one of those stunts that when you see the reality of what they're doing, you go, okay, something is wrong with this. Yeah. But you've got the LGBTQIA plus onesies and all of these things. And you add to all of that this latest marketing campaign was pushed by a Satanist branding company, a company that was started by a transgender. Okay, it started by a woman who masquerades as a man. Okay. And Target they have severed ties here, had partnered with this woman to produce all of this merchandise. Now, what Target said in the wake of all of the backlash, the social media backlash, which is so powerful, which I think should be very encouraging to Christians, like to continue speaking out loudly, continue to not be okay with what you see happening in the culture, because it really does make a difference. Can I say this as a side note as I go into what people have observed about this? I don't know. I haven't been able to really put words to what I think is a shame about what happened with Anheuser-Busch. And I got to tell you, because to me, it's a little bit of if there's a conflict in my mind to talk so much about the beer company. You know what I mean? So there's a little bit of conflict there that I feel like, man, I don't want to talk so much about the beer company. At the same time, however, I want to recognize that it was the outrage over the beer that has really started the stiffening of the backbones among a lot of people in the culture. That's so amazing. I got to tell you, I've been thinking about this deeply, by the way, but I haven't found a way to really put my finger on what the beer drinkers were able to find in themselves that the regular, like, moms and dads, the regular Christians of America couldn't find in ourselves to be able to say no and no again. But the beer drinkers, I don't know. And maybe there's someone who will call in today. We'll open the phone lines in the last segment, and you'll help me make sense of what happened. Because what we saw happen with Anheuser-Busch when they had to Jodeci those cans of beers. Ooh, yeah, take me back. We'll take the cans back, you and I. Like, it was like the sad, like, love songs of like the 90s. That's how they're trying to get those beer cans back, because people are like, we refuse. We refuse. The inebriated crowd. Man, the funny. Inebriated crowd. Those who don't even know how many fingers I'm holding up. Decided they didn't want a beer can, whether they can see it or not, because of inebriation. Like, they just decided they don't want a man masquerading as a woman on the beer can, and that sent a message back to Anheuser-Busch.
And that is amazing to consider. What group of people? It's almost akin to the parents finding out in Loudoun County what was going on in the schools. You know, it's like it's like the beer drinkers like stood up and said, "Man, we're not putting up with this." And it's like, wait, where are the Christians in where are we on things in culture? Like, because why are we so slow to?
The amazing thing is that it wasn't overwhelmingly people coming out in Loudoun County purely because they're Christians. It was parents being made privy to the fact that their kids are being indoctrinated, and then just those parental instincts kicking in. And so, again, to your point, it's like you wonder, so for the believers among us, the people who have an eternal conviction about what is right and what is wrong, why does it take us so long to get there?
So slow,
and why are we taking our cues from a culture that really largely hates God? But when they reach their limit, then, you know what I mean? And then we as Christians look at them and then we say, oh, wait. So it's okay? It's okay to not like that? Okay, great. So now we'll join in. And I just think, I don't know, there is a story that is, it's sad to me. And I'm not really sure how you shape the telling of that story. But there is a story that is sad to me, that the Anheuser-Buschers of this country were able to do what faithful Christians have either been unable to do, I don't think that,
unwilling
to do. You know, and so here we are
now.
We
love this world a lot more than we want to let on.
Well, yes, love this world, and I think also I think also there's a lot of fear of man among Christians. And the Bible is very clear that the Lord has not given us a spirit of fear, right? Like that we are not to walk in that type of fear. So there's a brazen sort of like, you know, come over here and take it that I think is represented among the Anheuser-Busch drinkers. You know what I mean? Like there is a oh, you want it, come get it, you know, and you walk over, you're limping back. You know what I mean? There's that kind of statement, I think, that comes from the Anheuser-Busch drinkers that does not come from the Christians. And why? And not that I'm saying, and when I say this on the part of the believer, I'm not talking about a self-motivated boldness. I'm not talking about I'll take you out with my bare hands and then limp away. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, what can man do to me? The Lord is my help. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm talking about. Like, when we tap into what it is to be fearless, I'm not talking about, you know, I got my hand on my hip. No, I'm talking about I got my hand raised to the Lord. Like, I'm totally surrendered and submitted to him. And so I'm going to stand for righteousness in this culture. And whatever comes along with that, I can take it because why? The Lord is my help. And so I don't know. I've been thinking about that a lot and thinking about how you how you shape a conversation around that without continuously mentioning Anheuser-Busch. Like, that's been seriously a conflict for me. Like, how do you?
But I think the mentioning of it proves a valid point, you know, and like the mentioning of them and also the people who are standing up against them. Yeah. It serves as an indictment to me.
I think so.
To believers who find ourselves being like jellyback about a lot of these issues. It's like, man, you know, I think that's a valid point to bring that up because it shows like, okay, so where are we? Like, what, you know?
Yeah, those of us who are the sober among us, and I'm not saying that everyone who drinks Anheuser-Busch is a drunkard. That's not what I'm saying. But you guys, I think our listeners understand the point that we're making here. Those of us who are not taking part in what happens in, you know, the dark, but we are exposing those deeds, tend to be a little more, for lack of a better word here, we tend to be a little more careful, and we try to be thought out, and then we want those things to be seen as virtuous when you've got other people who are just like, no, this is wrong, and I'm going to say something.
Right.
I'm going to say something, and I'm going to say something loudly. You know, I'm going to blow up beer in my backyard. You know, I mean, we haven't seen anything like that since we saw the activist mom burning up Teen Vogue. You know what I mean? Like, just, I mean, that's the kind of response that grabs attention. And I mean, I don't know. We'll talk a little bit more specifically about what's going on with Target and then also what you can continue to do. Aaron the Addisons, we'll be right back.
When you hear this,
this is American Family News.
You know what follows is the truth. Your news from a Christian perspective.
Hundreds of teachers are going to have to walk into that school building, and they are forced to swallow political ideology that in many cases violates their very faith and conscience.
If you miss it at the top of the hour, American Family News podcasts are available at afn.net and sign up for our daily news brief at afn.net.
AFA is no longer dependent on Facebook or YouTube to live stream our original programming. As of now, American Family Radio shows like Today's Issues, The Court, Airing the Addisons, and The Hamilton Corner are streaming live on the AFA streaming app. Independent live streaming is the next step as we come out from among them and separate ourselves unto the Lord. Search AFA Streaming or visit streaming.afa.net to sign up.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tim Wildman, president of American Family Association and American Family Radio. Hey, we've set our dates for the 2024 tour to Israel, and you can read about that at twholyland.com. That's twholyland.com. We've got the dates, we've got the cost, we've got the itinerary, everything you want to know there, including a bunch of pictures you can look at. Just go to the website, twholyland.com. Folks, we're going to visit the land of the Bible, and it's will be my 30th time to go. I'm just so excited every time to see the faces light up as people see Jerusalem and Bethlehem and Jericho and take a boat ride on the Sea of Galilee and get baptized in the Jordan River. It's just a wonderful time in Israel, the Holy Land. So if you want to join us on our trip in March, go to the website twholyland.com, twholyland.com, and check it out.
A charitable gift annuity through the AFA Foundation is an excellent way to provide yourself with guaranteed permanent income while at the same time supporting the American Family Association. Here's what one supporter told us.
I very much want to see God's Word continue into the next generation. This is a way I can help AFA spread the truth and promote their biblical stand. My experience with the AFA Foundation continues to remind me that I have a small part in helping AFA in the battle for our nation's values.
Financial planning is essential to your family. A charitable gift annuity through the AFA Foundation is one way you can support AFA and the health of our nation. The planners at the AFA Foundation are here to help you do the most with your finances. You can call us at 800-326-4543, extension 345, find us on Facebook, or email foundation@afa.net and learn whether a charitable gift annuity is right for you.
My eyes are open, I can't get caught in these little traps. And I don't need to burn sage because that's witchcraft. We need to stop being mad at the person. It's not the flesh, it's the spirit. We need discernment. It's scary to have it all figured out and you still don't know what's coming. If I say Jesus is coming, then people think it's funny. But all these kids believe in tooth fairies and mummies. I thought Easter was about Jesus. They replaced him with a bunny. Distractions give us more faith in Santa Claus than our Savior. How come the letters in Santa also spell Satan? If scary movies are good, then why do we fear it? Why do these stores like to call alcohol spirits? Help me understand it.
Welcome back to Aaron the Addisons on American Family Radio. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Miki.
And I'm Will, and that's Kyron the Light with Witchcraft.
Interesting. The Daily Wire is reporting some interesting information about Target and the connection between Target and Glisten, which may explain why it went whole hog on the whole, targeting of children, because this is a part of Glisten's mission. So it would only make sense that Target would also, if having some sort of alignment with Glisten as it has had in the past. But this one is unique, and I'll explain why in just a second here. But it only would make sense that now you would see Target going a whole hog and now trying to roll back. Now, one thing before I go to this Daily Wire article, and then I want to remind our listeners that the AFA Target boycott is still on, and you can still sign the petition or sign the pledge to not shop at Target. You can go to afa.net for that. That is still important. It's still important to show all of those numbers to show that people are serious, although I think that Target has awakened to a different sound. It's the sound of Americans like being fed up. That's what it looks like, right? Like billions of dollars. All right, so to this Daily Wire article. The vice president for brand management at Target, also serves as the treasurer of an LGBT group that has received millions of dollars in donations from Target.
Follow the money.
I mean, anyway, and urges schools to adopt policies to help trans and non-binary school students keep their parents in the dark about their gender identity. Target's vice president for brand management, a man by the name of Carlos Saavedra, was elected to the Glisten, Gay, Lesbian, and Straight Education Network, executive committee as treasurer in November of 2021. That's according to his LinkedIn page. The Daily Mail reports that Glisten helps teachers place LGBTQ books in school libraries and hide their students' so-called gender transition from parents. Glisten has sent more than 46,000 books with LGBTQ themes to several thousand schools across the nation. And Target is in partnership with Glisten. You go back, you do some YouTube searching, you can find Glisten's annual award ceremonies where Target has a unique presence there. Target not only receiving awards, but awards being given out in Target's name. I mean, it's incredible to watch. But again, let me just say this. This is not new. This is not new. The thing is, when people make these small sort of incremental steps and you do nothing, then they feel like, oh, you must want that. Right. Or at the very least, you don't care. You're indifferent. So because we do care an awful lot, we will keep moving forward. And until you say uncle, right, we're just going to keep moving forward. And that's what they've done. But you've got a lot of people who have just said that this is a bridge too far. And I think it's because of being encouraged by Anheuser-Busch. I think they've seen that, hey, Americans can still make a difference in what they refuse to buy. And that is important, what you refuse to buy. Target boasted last year about donating more than $2.1 million to Glisten over the past decade, praising its mission to create affirming, accessible, and anti-racist spaces for LGBTQIA+ students. Target promotes Glisten on its online store. Now, you know what Target said about the removal of these items from their store, and in some stores they kind of pushed it back, further out of the way, because it was sort of like you walked in and your senses were violated because of all the items out near the front. But Target said that they were removing these things because of the risk to its employees, right? Because these crazy conservatives, I'm saying that, they didn't say that, not in those words, but the crazy conservatives are going in and overturning displays. And so they wanted to remove these articles of clothing because they wanted to protect the safety of their employees. That might work if they didn't also remove it from their website. So that means that there's more to it than that, people.
Right.
Like if you say, well, we're moving to an online model, right? Then you still have the clothes online, but they don't have the clothes online. So what are people pounding on their keyboards? And so you're out of an abundance of safety for people's knuckles. Like what are you doing, right? So no, what this really says is that Target got the message that people are sick and tired of this, that they've had enough. And so what I would say is that people need to continue sounding the alarm. Like one of the best ways to do that, you've already sent a message, because Target has lost $10 billion in market valuation. $10 billion. Target shares have fallen by more than 12.5% since this all started. And how does this start, right? Like, notice that this didn't happen in like shareholder meetings. Notice that this was not like a BlackRock type thing. This was not this was just people saying what is going on and taking to social media. And then there began this snowball effect, which is the same thing that happened with Anheuser-Busch. I think it was Kid Rock who was like shooting up beer cans in his backyard. It was the country singers who were like, Anheuser-Busch will not be sold at my concerts. So it's like you can tell your dog to bite my leg, like, but we will not. I'm sorry.
Man.
Last time I listened to country music, but like, so these are the people who are sort of leading the charge. And so the thing that is troubling to me, well, one, let me open the phone lines, 888-589-8840. Today's topic, still boycotting Target. Still bargaining. Still bargaining Target.
Let me say, I wonder, what the reaction is going to be for this coming month, because we about to get hit hard with
goodness,
all over the place,
for
all
sure.
these stores, and so I wonder, because I've seen Adidas do some things. They're gonna Walmart has done some stuff, already. So this coming month, they gotta put that stuff out. They gotta get that 100 score or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So man, we're about to see a bunch of this stuff, but I wonder what the reaction will be because of what of Target and Anheuser have received.
You're wondering, I think that's a great question. Like, will other companies kind of tone it down just a little bit?
I wonder will they tone it down, and I wonder will the reaction from the people be similar to what has been to this?
I think it should be. Listen, I think every company needs to recognize that people in this country have grown LGBTQ fatigue. Do you understand what it's like? There's enough. We get it. It's like it's like, okay, you want to live your life. Excuse me. But I think people in this country are saying, hey, you know what? So do we. Like, we just want to live our lives as well. Like,
and
I think
see all of this and
we get
in
it.
our faces everywhere we go. Like, I think
happy.
people are finally tired. Like, I think they've been tired, but didn't know what to do. I didn't want to be hateful. I don't want this and that. Yeah. But I think now it's like, we can do that?
Nothing like blowing up beer cans to get you your mojo so you feel like you can.
Nothing like, nothing like that. The beer cans, and I think you offended some NASCAR drivers, people, fans and stuff. It's like, man, what?
I'm sure.
But the thing is, I wonder how this is going to play out this month specifically, because this is usually when they go full hog on, putting all the stuff out there in your face so you can see it.
Before we go to the phone lines here, let me just remind our listeners that our president here at the American Family Association, Tim Wildman, had an article that was up on the stand last month where he listed 5 reasons that families should still boycott Target. And this was ahead of the big, oh my goodness. So there you go. Like, Tim out there ahead of this saying, hey, by the way, we're still boycotting, and here's why. even though, and I think it's sufficient because the results are the same, right? It's sufficient that families would see what's going on in Target and say, look, I'm not bringing my kids inside your store. This is too much. You're coming for the children. You're targeting them on purpose. Why do you have these little articles of clothing that promote themselves as tuck friendly? Like, why do you want to do this to little boys? Why do you want little girls to bind their breasts? Like, why are you, Target is doing this, right? So I think it's enough for families to be outraged over that and to say, we're not doing that anymore. But can I just also remind our listeners, and I was reading this article that Tim wrote last month, and I thought, man, this is so important for us to keep in front of people. He listed in this piece the most recent alarming news headlines regarding Target's policy to allow men in women's fitting areas or whoever in whatever fitting area. So real quick here, and then we'll go to the phone lines. In February of 2023, police searched for a suspect who took a photo of a woman in a Target dressing room. July of 2022, Rio Rancho Target employee allegedly filmed a minor in the store dressing room. In August of 2022, a Pinellas man secretly filmed women in Target changing room, police say. Police say that a man was accused of taking photos of women in public and retail dressing rooms. And then in February of 2022, a Charleston man was arrested for taking photos of people inside a Target dressing room. If you think about all of those things and you think that Target was sort of like out ahead of this, almost ensuring that these things would happen, like kind of, not at all concerned, just saying everybody, what was there at the time in 2016, according to Target, this is what it said, quote, everyone deserves to feel like they belong. That's what Target said. The reason they were doing this with the bathrooms is because everyone deserves to feel like they belong. I don't think I even need to talk about the hypocrisy of that statement or the lack of self-awareness, right? Like everyone deserves to feel like they belong except for everyone. Right? Like everybody can feel like they belong except for everyone. That's the statement that's being made there. All right, let's go to the phone lines. 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. One last thing before we hit the button here. Again, go to afa.net. You can sign the pledge to boycott Target, and then you can just refuse to shop there. Like, you're not going to make a difference unless you make a difference. Like, and it starts in each of our individual families. Have there been moments where you're like, oh man, it's not available here? Oh, Target has it. And you say, well, we don't need it. Yeah. We can do without it. And I mean, rubber meets the road. Yeah. You can take those steps to say, you know what, listen, I'm tired of it. We get it. You want to live your life. And so do we. So these are the steps that we're going to take. All right. Will the Great, where do we go?
And right before that, I just want to say that the registration from MFL 23 will be done by June 1st. So if you still want to go, the registration is open till June 1st for Marriage Family Life Conference 2023. And let's go to Jerry in Memphis, Tennessee. Hi, Jerry.
Hello, Will and Miki.
Hey, brother.
Thank you for taking my call.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'm going to go quick, and I know you're rolling your eyes, Miki. I'm watching you online, so
just don't do
it. I know you don't. Hey, I have a few thoughts for you. Just random thoughts. I'll just maybe say them real quick, and y'all can talk about any of them or none of them. But I think one thing that you were trying to figure out, why are Christians not engaged in this? I thought on that. Christians may feel a bit fatigued by the boycotts over the last few decades and questioning, do these things really matter or not? Because Christians have done these for years, and really over that time probably just seen things get worse. So I'm just offering a potential reason why some of them may say, it just doesn't matter anyway. Point number two, there aren't as many Christians. We probably have less than 5% of Americans. I don't know what the number is. It's a really low number of Christians, period. And then Christians who would actually boycott Bud Light, which, a lot of them may not be huge customers there, but then would boycott a Target. There's just not as many Christians as there are Bud Light drinkers in America. So when those people start standing up, they got to pay attention. When Christians stand up, it's like, it's just a few. What's the big deal?
Can I say something, Jerry? I know you're going through your list. I don't mean to interrupt you here, but it's troubling. It's troubling to me to consider some of the points that you're making. And there's one thought that came to mind. I think that when Christians do sign boycotts, I think even with the signing of those boycotts or with the agreement not to shop, I think Christians tend to do that quietly. I think what we saw with Anheuser-Busch was a public outcry. It was not only are we not going to buy your stuff or allow your stuff to be sold at our events, but we are going to do that loudly. And I think where Christians kind of like, confuse a little bit of their activism and like how do you engage, it's like they scarcely want to tell people that they're doing it. Like they scarcely want to make that kind of a show and say this is enough, like we're not doing it. And I don't know where that comes from. Maybe there is and I want to be gracious here, because maybe there is an attempt to live at peace so we can quietly take action, we think. And I think maybe in some instances that does work, but I think the reason we've seen happen with Anheuser-Busch and most recently what we see happening with Target is because people have been outraged, but they've been outraged publicly. They've not just signed a petition and then gone back to doing their daily chores. They've signed a petition, if you will, mentally, but then they've also talked about it publicly. Your thoughts on that, Jerry?
Yeah, well, that is a great point. But, I read something the other day that the marketing people know. These boycotts generally last 2 weeks. The Bud Light thing has taken on legs that they didn't expect. So it's kind of an anomaly for them. But it's like they know, hey, we're going to do this.
Ride it out.
We're going to get mad.
Yeah.
And then they'll be back. And that presents another problem. Can we boycott everybody? It's like we need a holistic strategy on, do I take turns? Do I do Target this month? And then somebody,
That's what we do, Jerry.
I mean,
with the exception of Target, exception of Target, because we have been Target free since 2016. With other companies, that's what we do. They stick their head out and they say, hey, we want to promote this. Then we say no. And so, yes, I think there is a point where you kind of are like choosing the things. And so you look at in June, I mean, there's certain apps from my phone. I just delete them in the month of June because it's like, I don't want to see that in my phone. I don't want to be bombarded with that. And I think that's increasingly, you're making a great point. That's what Christians are going to have to decide. Like, how do we strategically engage and use our resources for the glory of God? No, we're not going to eradicate it everywhere, but somewhere is a good start. Until tomorrow, Lord willing.
God bless.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family